All right, so now we're going to start on theorems. And theorems are if-then statements that mathematicians have proven to always be true. And so, in this case, if two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, and so my two parallel lines are M and N, and of course, cursor, not my writing utensil. And a lot of times you'll see like arrows drawn in the middle of your line to indicate that they're parallel. So if two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then the corresponding angles are congruent. So written in symbols, symbols that, just a reminder, this means parallel. And then this is the symbol for congruent. And congruent means is the same as equal, but we use congruent when we're talking about angles, but we know nothing about what their measurements are, and we're just saying, okay, well, that angle is going to be congruent to this other angle. And then when we know measurements, we start using equals again. All right, so N symbols. If line M is parallel to line N, then angle, so corresponding angles, angle 1 would correspond with angle 5. So angle 1 would be congruent to angle 5. Angle 3 would be congruent to angle 7. Angle 2 is going to be congruent to angle 6, and angle 4 is congruent to angle 8. So again, there's those, I'm going to mark one of them, corresponding angles. So they're in that same side of the transversal, same position in our set of 4 angles. So that's what we're looking for. All right, so let's do an example. Given that line P is parallel to line Q, so this is parallel to this, we want to find the measure of angle Y. So we're looking for Y. I know that that is corresponding with angle U. So I know that angle Y is going to be congruent to angle U because they are corresponding angles. And then because they are equal, since angle U is 104 degrees, that means that the measure of angle Y equals 104 degrees. Because I'm replacing angle U with the 104 that it is. Notice that I went from congruent to equal, and then also up above we weren't using the M's in front like we had been in other problems. But when we start talking about the actual measure, then I put an M in front of my angle to indicate that we're talking that the measure of angle Y is 104 degrees. Mathematicians can get very picky. All right, so next theorem, alternate interior angles theorem. So if two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then the alternate interior angles are congruent. So if line M is parallel to line N, then angle 3 is congruent. So here's angle 3. We want alternate, so opposite side of the transversal, and then we need it on the other line. So angle 3 would be congruent with angle 6, and angle 4 would be congruent to angle 5. Again, they're on that opposite sides of the transversal. They're crossed from each other. So let's practice this one. Given that P is parallel to Q, find the measure of angle T. So here's T. I know that T is opposite and inside, because we're inside our lines, right? So an alternate interior angle with angle W. So angle T is congruent to angle W by alternate interior angles, and angle W is 76 degrees. So the measure of angle T equals 76 degrees. That's how simple it is. They're alternate interior angles, so they are equal to each other. Done. All right, so next example, given that AB is parallel to CD, find the value of V. So here's V, and the only thing that has a number is this angle here with the 140. So these are in corresponding positions. And so since they're in corresponding positions, I know that 5V is equal to 140 degrees. So then I'm going to divide both sides by 5, and I'm going to get that V equals, sorry, I didn't have my calculator up and running like I thought I did. All right, 140 divided by 5 is 28. So V would be 28. I'm not going to put degrees because that's not the angle measure. 5 times 28 is the angle measure. So V is just 28. And then I believe we have, nope, that is it for that. For those, we're going to talk about converses in our next set of videos. So until then.